but I'm planting seeds under trees that I may never sit under when I talk to a college student and tell them there's a world where money will follow you. It's an abundant world, a faith-based world, that there's more than enough of everything, more than enough of everything for everyone. There's more than enough, an infinite amount. And when you have faith that there's something bigger than you, this infinite source that loves you more than your mom, slowly but surely, just like the genius that sits behind you, there's a picture of Einstein who teaches compound interest and aggregate effect. The rule of 72 applies to abundance, not just capital. What I teach is, how do we have values and daily practices that are aligned with a trajectory of living in more than enough, aligned in a trajectory of what you think you want to come through you, not to you or for you, but through you for others.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to episode number 20 of the Jason Scalora Show. Here today with our guest, David Meltzer. We've had a couple of interactions in the past. We had the meetup. I've been creating content for Dave for about a month and a half, 2 months now on the side. So we've had a couple interactions here and there, but it's a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for helping me implement the Shakespearean stage theory so well, being able to capture things like the meetup and modifying them into a way where it's more edible and suitable for different environments. And then, of course, the amplification process, which will live forever. So I appreciate you assisting me in building brand and inspiring others.
Of course. It's an amazing thing. For those of you who don't know, Dave does these things he calls them his little meetups. And then they're not so little after a couple minutes of you showing up wherever you go. And then you got a crowd of people, you rattle off Q&A, and then you record it and post it on YouTube, post it on TikTok, post it on your socials. And they perform really well because, I mean, it's the most practical way to get the realistic, real life answers and questions that people want. So it's an amazing thing. You guys should go check it out. It's awesome. So if you can give them a quick spark note of who is David Meltzer, just so they have a little background on those who do not know who you are, that would be great.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I'm on a mission to empower over 1 billion people to be happy. My expertise is in 3 realms: 1, making a lot of money; 2, helping a lot of people; and 3, having a lot of fun. I've learned how to do that through a variety of lessons and messages received from running, being a millionaire 9 months out of law school, to being CEO of Samsung's phone division, to running Lee Steinberg Sports and Entertainment. Most people know Lee from the movie Jerry Maguire. And then finally building a huge sports marketing firm with Hall of Fame quarterback Warren Moon, and then building my own brand, all for one purpose today. That brand that I built, whether it's the books that I write, the stages I step on, the free trainings I've been doing for over 23 years, my podcast, which we've done over 1,200 episodes with the biggest billionaires, millionaires, entrepreneurs, celebrities, athletes, and entertainers in the world. My TV shows, from 2-Minute Drill, where you can win $50,000 in a pitch competition each episode on Apple, to Office Hours, digital and Apple TV, to Elevator Pitch on Entrepreneur. All of my content, whatever it is that I do, is to serve one purpose: to empower people like you, Jason, to learn to be ambassadors of how to create abundance. How can Jason make a lot of money and help a lot of people and have a lot of fun, so he can teach more Jasons out there to do that?
Absolutely. And I think one of the things that people really need to understand is, when you look at somebody like Dave, a lot of people have this sort of mentality of transactionality of like, oh, well, he's doing that so he can get some sort of, paycheck out of it, or he's doing this so that he can get some, secondary payoff or whatever. And people really don't understand of like, until you immerse yourself in this sort of area of life, you don't really understand like, oh no, people are actually out there just trying to make the world a better place, because that's the best thing that any of us can do with our time. And although people might be extremely wealthy and have a lot of nice cars and Ferraris and all the big house and whatever, the white picket fence, whatever you think you might want, they have. But the reason why people like you have those kinds of things is because you're of service, which is essentially, in a nutshell, what your purpose is and what you're after in life. And people, I don't know, it's it's harder for me to say that as a college student at 21 years old. A lot easier for somebody like you to say, hey, I've been there, I've done that, I've made the millions, I've lost the millions, I've made them back. What you're after is making the world a better place, not a dollar amount, you know?
Yeah, the money will follow you, and it just takes time to learn that. Look, I had to learn it myself. I lived in, like most people live in, two different worlds. I lived in the world of not enough, where I was a victim. Everything happened to me. There was never not enough of anything. I lived on food stamps at one time, six kids and a single mom working two jobs. I also lived in that world you're discussing of for me, owning the Ferraris, buying things I didn't need to impress people I don't even like. The world of for me is a transactional world. It's a world of zero sum. You give to receive. If you win, somebody else loses. And what I try to teach, and it takes time, but I'm planting seeds under trees that I may never sit under when I talk to a college student and tell them there's a world where money will follow you. It's an abundant world, a faith-based world, that there's more than enough of everything, more than us of everything for everyone. There's more than enough, an infinite amount. And when you have faith that there's something bigger than you, this infinite source that loves you more than your mom, slowly but surely, just like the genius that sits behind you, there's a picture of Einstein who teaches compound interest and aggregate effect. The rule of 72 applies to abundance, not just capital. And what I teach is, how do we have values and daily practices that are aligned with a trajectory of living in more than enough, aligned in a trajectory of what you think you want to come through you, not to you or for you, but through you for others.
So when you say daily habits, let's say you could have, one of the questions I always try and ask people is, hey, let's say you, like, whatever the situation is, let's say you can only give one tidbit of advice. Let's say in this case, you can only give one habit of, this is what everybody needs to be doing once a day or once a week or whatever. This is the habit you need to build in order for you to build your faith so you can attract abundance. What's that habit for you?
Know what you want each day in a trajectory of what you think you want in the future. When you know what you want today, is, see, because the past, we're going to base what we want today off of the meaning that we give defining moments and inflection points of the past. That's what determines what we want today. Now, today's limited by 24 hours. So when we know what we want today, limited by the 24 hours, knowing that we're limited by the meaning that we give the past, we then can know in a trajectory of what we think we want in the future. So if you know what you want today, every day, changing the meaning of the defining moments. I'll give you an example, like my bankruptcy. When I lost everything, over $100 million, and not only had to move from my home, but tell my mom, who was the only reason I wanted to be rich was to buy her a house, that she had to move out of her house because I forgot to take her name off, put my name off of the title. When I had to do that, that day was one of the worst days of my life. Now, 16 years later, I've given it a meaning that it saved my life. I've given it a meaning that it's one of the best things that ever happened to me. So I've taken that meaning and I know what I want today in a trajectory of what I want in the future, knowing the future is unlimited. The only thing that limits my future is myself. So I know the meaning is what defines and limits my future. The time is what defines today, and myself is what limits my future. Knowing what you want becomes the best piece of advice. The best habit that you can have is taking a few moments and asking yourself, instead of living in the world of nothingness, procrastinating, feeling overwhelmed, when you know what you want in a trajectory of what you think you want in the future, with an open mind, open heart, and open hands to learn from it, I promise you, you'll get where you want to be. Accelerate and compound your trajectory like Einstein has with money.
Right. And it sounds almost too corny and cliche to be like, set a goal, set an outcome. Like, because you hear people, you'll hear it a million times, but a lot of times the reasons why cliches are cliche is because of how true they are. And the reality is, people like you are telling people, like, hey, if you want the success and you want the fulfillment and you want the enjoyment that comes out of this quality of life, set goals for yourself, set outcomes for yourself, and that's going to be the number one reason that's going to be the number one habit rather that's going to bring you to where you want to go. And it's coming from somebody like you. And still people don't want to do it. That's the
Yeah, I
part
know
that
it's
blows my mind.
blows my mind, right? Like it's called self-esteem, not others' esteem.
Right.
But yet so many people are searching for, looking for, doing, saying, thinking, believing, and feeling for what other people want or what's missing or what they don't have.
Mm,
You were talking about earlier, like how people think what's in it for me.
mm,
I can't tell you, I've been giving away everything. I actually have a full-time employee that searches the internet every day and sees what other people are charging for. And his job is to figure out how I can do it for free. And one of the things I do for free is I give my
mm.
books away for free. I sign them, I send them, I pay for shipping. It's not a, hey, here's my book for free, give me $9.99 in
Yeah.
shipping charges. And here's the funny thing, I've done it for years, and yet I would say about 10% of the emails are concerning fear of what's the catch, how are you making money, what are you doing in this transactional world. They're so conditioned to being scammed, so conditioned to scarcity that they can't even fathom abundance. They can't
Right.
even fathom my reality. My reality surpasses their imagination, is what I feel. And I'm already prepared to accept someone. Anyone that emails me that skepticism, that scarcity, I immediately say, hey, let me take a moment, call me on my cell phone. I give them my cell phone and I say, I'd like to discuss the purpose, passion, and profitability behind being abundant. I'm trying to teach you. And my book is one of those vehicles that helps me empower others to share in my faith of abundance.
Mm,
And here's the scariest thing. You would think that those skeptical people would have enough energy or focus to give me a call. Of the 10% of the people that are looking for some sort of catch, scam, quid pro quo, some sort of negotiation or transaction, about 1% of the 10% will even have enough interest, enough attention, and enough intention to call me to learn. And so I just look at it as people are attacking and judging and putting conditions that I'm being protected and promoted by that. I'm being protected and promoted by the people, because hurt people hurt people. And if
mm.
I can't help a hurt person, I don't want to be around a hurt person who's hurting other people. I want to
Right.
help hurt people, but if they're not willing to be helped, I can't help them.
I mean, I love that. I love that advice because a lot of people get caught in the trap. This is where I found myself, especially when I started my whole self improvement journey of when I realized I could help somebody because I knew the answers to their problems. When you find somebody that doesn't want the help, you have to stop offering the advice.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people get this mindset of like, oh well, I know what they need to do, and you might know what's best for somebody, and you might even be right of if they did follow through on your advice that their life would be tremendously better. But if they're not taking your advice, you have to stop giving the advice because all you're doing is devaluing your own word and being hurt by somebody who's hurt because that's what those people do.
Yeah, and you're exacerbating or accelerating some of their resistance as well, right? Because what
Right.
you resist persists. I had a friend, great example, valedictorian at my high school, did not have high self-esteem and didn't take my advice on where to go to college, right? He didn't have the self-worth. And then he got into graduate school, a PhD program at Duke. And I just had my baby and I gave up 3 hours. He didn't have a girlfriend, he didn't have a family, he had no idea the investment I was making in him, and he didn't want my help, right? He
Mm.
continually did. And where did he go from there? He went in, when his life turned out the way, which ended up in a suicide, by the way, which just breaks my
Wow.
heart. But where did he always go to? Blame, shame, and justification. See, people that go the extra mile every once in a while are great at justifying why they're not where they want to be by utilizing how they went the extra mile 2 weeks ago, 2 years ago, 2 months ago, and they blame other people. So not only are you making it more difficult by what you resist persists, but you also are making yourself a target for hurt people to hurt you by being the object of their blame, their
Mm.
shame, and their justification. And that happened a bunch of different times with the closest people in my life that I tried to help. And when what I tried to help with came true, then you're the target of the hurt because they're hurt.
Mm, I like that a lot. So taking sort of a different route, more so towards the business side of things, I had a couple questions. The first one of which was, what's one of the daily practices? So for somebody that's like in my shoes, this is a selfish question from just for me, but also whoever's listening, take it for what it's worth. If you're in my shoes right now, I'm doing well on social media, but what I'm trying to figure out is how to funnel the masses of people that are on my social media page into coaching clients. What is like a tangible way of maybe like a daily practice, or you should spend 100 hours learning this or read these books, or what are some habits or practices that I should focus on to learn how to funnel people from my social media pages down into eventually becoming coaching clients?
Look, you need to be able to articulate the quantitative value of the content that you're providing to your community.
What does
Your
that mean?
community, so your community should be filled with two types of people: sponsors and power sponsors, not followers. Sponsors are people that are willing to help you, and a power sponsor, I'm sorry, power sponsor is someone that will help you and know people that can help you. Sponsors are people that know people that can help you. When you're serving quantitative value to your community, they're going to ask you to help them personally.
Mm,
So, I've been doing free trainings for over 22 years. It'll be 23 years in October. I
wow.
give everything I can for free because I poured into my community, because I can articulate the quantitative value of the advice that I've given, from values to practices to all types of different philosophies and strategies, introductions. By building that information within the context of my community, by serving it, not draining it, but by serving it, all of a sudden people started to ask me. My whole coaching career, which I am blessed to be one of the top coaches in the world, I am a business advisor to some of the biggest chairmen and CEOs of the biggest companies in the world now. But
Mm,
it stemmed from me speaking on a stage and a kid 30 something years old saying, will you be my business coach? I didn't even know what a business coach was at the time. And from that, so you can't force your community
right.
to coach. Your community should be begging you,
Right.
like I was begged. And
Yeah.
so detach your emotions from that outcome. Only concern yourself putting your attention and intention, everything you do, say, think, believe, and feel, to pour value into the community that you have. So that if you're
Understood.
looking for kids that are transitioning from college, or how to get good grades, or how to be happy or get along with your parents,
Right.
whatever the critical life or business issues of your community are, serve that critical life or business issue, and people will want to pay you for your expertise.
As
See,
a
anyone comes
byproduct.
to me for help, I say this simply:
Mm,
I have all this for free. I also have a office hours group setting for you that's very inexpensive. I then have a wait list for my one-on-one help, and then I have business advisory as well. I suggest you start by reading my book for free, get a feel for how I can be of service or value for you. Then you can join a group. From there, we can get to know each other, sit on the wait list. Then you'll be ready for me to help you one on one. Now, it's
right.
taken me years to get to that point, but all I did at first was I spoke for free, I wrote books for free, I coached for free. Everything I did was for free until
Right.
all of a sudden one person said, hey, I'll pay you if you personally help me. And I said, oh, okay. And then I helped them make millions of dollars. And he said, hey, can I have three friends work with you? And then those three friends had three friends, and so on and so on. And here I am years later with wait lists and millions of
Mm.
people who want personalized quantitative value from me.
So add value, and as a byproduct of you being of complete and utter service, that's when people are going to ask you.
Yeah. And look, I started by charging people. I said, look, donate $100 to charity and I'll help you month to month. As long as it's worth it. Now, no matter how big, and I have 7 and 8 figure contracts as an advisor, no matter what I do, I'm always month to month, and I always guarantee quantitative value. See, subjective value is always there. You can always make up a subjective value. I make you feel good, or I think that introduction helped. But I'm into quantitative value. So if I'm charging $97 a month to be a part of my private coaching group, you better make more than $100 that month off of what I've helped you with, either introductions or advice. If
Mm,
not, let me give you your money back. I don't want it. I
right.
want to be a profit center for everyone. So by giving away all the value, I guarantee I'm a profit center because the cost is zero. It's not hard to overcome that low bar.
Mm, that's awesome. I don't know how much time you have left.
One more question, my
All
friend.
right. What would your advice be? So right now, this is the most tangible plan that I can create for myself because as of now, I think the best thing I can do is just add value until the universe attracts whatever it's going to attract to me. Um, but the number one thing that I've been focusing on is trying to network myself with people like you and people like Gary, people in our space. Um, so the way that I'm going about it right now, and I just want to know your opinion on this, is I'm going up to people that, especially people who create content like yourself, um, and saying, "Hey, let me do content for you for free. Let me create as much as I can for free, add as much value as I can, and in return, I just ask to make a connection with you, make a connection with a couple people that you know that could help me further progress in service." What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's the exact approach that I utilize with every interaction that I have to provide value. So I have an open-ended question template. So my systematic templated way of doing what you're doing is to number one, find an open mind of somebody who sits in a situation that I want to be in. So if I can find an open mind at that time, I then can ask, hey, Gary Vaynerchuk, what are you doing today? What do you like about it? What don't you like about it? Would it help you if I did this? Would it help you if I did that? And then when providing that service of value, I can easily ask, hey, do you know anyone that can help me? If you utilize the open-minded, open-ended question template and facilitate a neighborhood, a frequency, a community of sponsors and power sponsors by utilizing the open-minded and open-ended question template, you will have a force of a community, in essence, a frequency, a neighborhood that provides you more options, more opportunity, and more touches of favor than you will know what to do with. Then you'll really have to utilize the 5 daily practices to learn to prioritize all the abundance and overwhelming options, opportunities, and touches of favor that are delivered by this systematic approach. And I'm happy to send it to everyone. It's david@dmeltzer.com. Jason, I appreciate the time, the questions,
Of course.
and your assistance, and I'm always here to be of service. So thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you for tuning in to episode 20 of the Jason Scalora Show. This has been episode 20 with David Meltzer. We appreciate you all. Love yourself because I love you, and stay handsome.
Yeah, stay handsome.
All right. Thank you so much for coming on.
I'll
Appreciate it.
see you in New York, buddy. Take care.
Peace.
Peace.